guys, and welcome back to Garden of Kaylan. So today we're going to be doing a little bit of everything. We're going to be setting up my new self-watering planter. Then we have some propagating to do. I'm going to try out some kikipaste on a few plants, and like I said, just a little bit of everything. A true garden reset for the spring. I am a little bit behind on my outside garden and my vegetables and such, but thank God I am, because we experienced a freeze and I would have been so devastated if my new little baby seedlings had died. So the timing is just perfect. Also, a quick heads up, Vego Gardens sent me their new EZCube Self-Watering Planter, and today I'm going to be doing an honest review on it. You're going to watch me unbox it and we're going to take a look at it together. But before we get started, hi, I'm Kayla and welcome back. If you're new here, welcome, and be sure to subscribe if plants are your vibe.
Where plants run free with jokes and clumsiness, let's make it green and wild in the Garden of Kayland.
Okay, I got the first box. Oh, and then they sent the legs separately. So if the legs aren't in that big box, then like, all right, let's just put it together. So of course this planter is going outside, but I am absolutely not putting it together outside. So hopefully it'll fit through the door. I don't know, it's a pretty big box, but I guess we'll find out when we find out. So of course, as soon as they said it was a self-watering planter, like for outside, and then gave me the dimensions, I was so curious, like how do you have such a large self-watering planter? And then the pictures of it spiked my curiosity even more. You'll see why. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit nervous about setting this up because this box is pretty intimidating. So the color I got was, so I got this, I got it in sage green. Oh my gosh. So the color I picked was sage green. I think it just really goes with the vibe. So let's do this. That took a lot out of me, I'm not gonna lie. All right, now here's everything laid out. And I really love this color. I love the sage green, but then there's like this deeper, like darker muted olive green. I really hate assembling things. At least this has pictures. Now that I'm sitting here looking at this, I really don't think I got enough soil. Also, if you haven't noticed, a lot of the pieces are just like a lock and slide type of mechanism. And I really like that too. This is seriously so well designed. I cannot tell you what a relief this is. So I have everything all assembled now, but I'm realizing I definitely don't have enough soil. I probably need double this amount. I will be filling water into these. So here's one there, and it's self-watering, so it'll tell me when I need to refill it. Since right now it's empty, it says refill. So 2 different refill spots. And then this is pretty cool too. So you can adjust this based on the amount of water that you want in here. So obviously upright at this 90-degree angle is gonna fill it all, fill it the most. But if you want to empty it or you don't want it that far, then you have that option too. So I'm doing some romaine lettuce, some kale, and some spinach. And then I also am gonna put some marigolds in here. That is like my trick of the trade when it comes to keeping critters away, and it adds a little bit of color. So I've kind of just done a mock-up of like how I want to design everything. I definitely do need more soil, probably about another 2 bags and 1 more bag of worm castings. I don't know, I feel like this may be enough plants. I want to give them space to expand. So I feel like this will be pretty decent. So far, so good. During assembly, I was making a mental note of all the pros and cons of things that I noticed. So I'll just go over them real fast. The first pro is that it's self-watering and elevated. So it's perfect. It makes gardening so much easier for me. And to be honest, I'm really terrified of bugs, like irrationally so. And what happens is during the summertime, like first of all, let me just say, there are unnamed creatures out there, okay? Like stuff I've literally never seen in my life. I don't know if they're poisonous. They look like grotesque. And so during the peak summertime, I am terrified of going out there, at least by myself. So like my husband has to be home. And then when he comes home, like what is he gonna just sit there and watch me like do plant care? I only get out there about once a week during the summer whenever he's cutting the grass, and I'll go out there and tend to my garden. And in the peak summertime, it needs way more water than that. So another pro is that I love the design. I love the ease of use. So the assembly was a little bit tedious only because I had to screw a million things in. It felt like really I just had to screw the legs on, but everything else literally you saw locked into place. Oh, and I really love the sage green color. And I also really want to point out the importance of it being elevated. So I don't want to be like kneeling down doing yard work, because if I see something, I gotta be able to jump back fast. But it's also really tiresome on my back, and it's just like the most. So I really love the fact that it's elevated and I don't have to bend down, and it eliminates the probability that creepy crawlers will get into it. At least not as many will get into it. So the only cons I have is that it's pretty, I don't want to say flimsy, but it's not as sturdy when it's empty. So you definitely want to move it where you want it like permanently before you start filling it up with water. Once it's filled up with water, it was very sturdy. It's also a little bit of an investment piece. So it's not like something you're gonna go out and get for like, you know, 50 bucks. To be fair, it is totally worth it in my opinion. I love it. I love that you can put accessories with it. You can extend it, make it bigger, smaller, whatever. They really have like gone above and beyond with the material, with the design. And they even sent me like the longer legs. So you can have it like on the ground if you want. You can have it elevated if you want. So it's just perfect. And if you want to check it out yourself, I've got a 5% discount code, Garden of Kland 5. I will put that in the link in the description below. All right, now moving on, I have this Syngonium Chiapense frost that has roots now coming out of the bottom of it. That's a sign that it's time for a refresh for this guy, but it's weird because I haven't really had it that long. But I started noticing some things that I don't like. So I decided, let's repot it. I'm gonna be using my go-to soil mix, and it's really just like regular store-bought potting soil amended with things like coconut husk chips and perlite, some worm castings, just a bunch of things to make it light and airy. I just want this Syngonium to do her very best. She's so gorgeous, like these frosted, gorgeous leaves that look like they're slightly dusted with like moonlight. And then I just have this little white pot that I got for $5.99, y'all. And this is like a ceramic type material, chef's kiss. I feel like putting it in this pot will really help it not dry out so much. And the mix that I was using before is really heavy in perlite. So I wanted to use this new batch that I made anyway, like mix a little bit of that in there with it. You know, I don't know if I would say that it was root bound per se, but I don't know. It just needed a new pot. It definitely just wasn't happy in there, or it wasn't like, it wasn't miserable, but I feel like I could have done better. And plus I potted this up when I first got it kind of on a whim and didn't really like take care to measure the pot size or anything like that. So this is definitely going to be a good adjustment and a very quick and easy repot. I have this little acrylic trellis in here. It seems like it's a bit early for a trellis on this Syngonium, but I like to start them a little bit early. I don't know, maybe I'm doing too much, but the leaves are getting bigger. Like you can see they're sizing up quite nicely. Let me get closer so you can actually see. Okay, that's a little bit better. So yeah, the leaves are sizing up pretty nicely, but look how gorgeously frosted that is. Such a pretty plant, and I really want her to thrive. So I'm glad we got her in a new pot, and I'll just water her in. In fact, I think I'm gonna just put all the plants that I'm about to repot in the shower together and water them all together and let them sit there for a little while. I feel so bad for how I've been neglecting this Philodendron orange marmalade. Like, if I just set it down, it topples right over. And it is literally, I've had this in the same pot for about, oh my gosh. Oh, yeah, I've had this in the same pot for a little while, and this is like bone dry. And then there are two plants in here. I think I'm gonna end up separating them. Okay, so I thought we had two plants, but really we have 4. We have 4. So I'm gonna keep these 3 little baby plants together. And then this one I'm going to pot up. Look how marvelous this plant is. I definitely wanna give it the attention it deserves because it really is like the deep green, but with the yellow vein and then the orange. Like so many colors going on. It is magnificent. And then we have another white pot, and I think that's gonna really make it pop. I should be so ashamed of myself the way I neglected this. I would literally go weeks without watering it. The only problem now is what am I gonna do with the other one? Because I'm trying not to have duplicate plants, but I kind of have just the person who I think would really like it, so it's fine. I honestly don't know that I'm gonna be able to do all my repots today because that soil bin is looking a little bit low right now. And I just saw a little gnat flying around this, so it looks like it's that time of year where I'm gonna start spraying my mosquito bit water into everything at least once a week or so, and my neem oil and my insecticides. So there's that all potted up. It's gonna look so cute. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad I'm giving this the attention it deserves now. And really quickly, I'm just gonna pot this second little one up. This is how the big one used to look. Oh, forgot a piece. I'm quick with it now, y'all. I just be throwing the soil in there, giving it a little, you know, give it a quick little, and it's done. This philodendron has needed a repot for so long, at least a year. I've needed to repot this. It falls over all the time. And I'm like, now you know good and well you need to repot that. But I'm finally getting around to it, thank God. And I have a much better pot for it. This one right here, it's very heavy, very sturdy. So it's going to be perfect. Right now I just have the stakes on here, but I'm thinking about putting a pole in it instead. Yeah, I should put a pole because at least then I can continue to extend it instead of like having to continue to put a million stakes in here just to hold this up. And then they have to get taller and taller. So I end up with like 6. No, we're not doing that. We're just gonna take these stakes out. Plus I can use these for a different plant and just go ahead and put this on a pole. So this is actually not going to be long enough at all for this, but it's a good start. It's a good starting point. And I'll just order some more, and they're so easy to extend because you can literally just stick it, like take this little cap off and then stick the next one like this into it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like this. You see? This philodendron was originally sold to me as a Jose Bruno, but it's not variegated, so I'm not really sure what it is, because it's my understanding that a Jose Bruno is like, you know, it's gonna be variegated. Like that's the nature of it. It's not like, you know, the Jose Bruno variegated. It's just the Jose Bruno just by default is variegated. I've tried to look it up and research it, but I don't have much luck. It just could be so many different philodendron. Like it doesn't have any like real unique characteristics per se. Last stake I'm taking out of it, and then I'll just tie it on here and it'll be good. Once I water it in, it's a little floppy right now, but I just love this pot for stuff that I forget to water because this pot sincerely holds moisture. So I like to start tying at the bottom where possible, but I don't want to pull it too tight because I definitely have snapped stems like that, especially if I just watered it a couple days ago and those stems are so full. So I really do like waiting a little bit better till these are a little bit dry before I do this. I think I'll add one more tie and then I think it'll be nice and sturdy. I've used so many different things to tie my plants together. Like right now I'm using this, I want to say it's jute, but I love this because when you tie it, it stays in place before you knot it. And I have this in like green, I have it in brown. I do also use the Velcro, but I don't really like how that looks as much. Thank God. I feel so good that that's finally over because this was one of those plants that I kept looking at and it was just such an eyesore. And then of course I can't wait to spray this pot off. This is an itty bitty little jewel orchid that I found just kind of hanging out in my terrarium. I don't even remember putting it in there. honestly, but it is like, it has 0 roots. It's not rooted at all. And it's just, I don't know, it's just this one little twig. So I decided to put it in some soil and put it in one of the cabinets and wish for the best. And this pot may seem a little bit big for this, but I really want it to hold on to moisture, especially, you know, having no roots and being an orchid. Yeah, you definitely need to hold on to as much moisture as possible. And there we go. I'll come back and check on this in a few weeks and then again in a few months so we can see how it's going. But these have been, in my experience, very slow growing, so don't hold your breath just yet. The last thing I'm gonna be potting up is this Choronier. This is a regular Choronier, but it's in really bad shape, especially for me to have had it for over a year. It should be in way better shape than this. And it's just like, I've got these yellow leaves, it's leggy. I just really wanna honestly start it all over. I had it in stratum and it's growing, but I'm not really feeling it right now. I wanna propagate it, I wanna cut a bunch of pieces up and just put everything in one pot and kind of start anew, if you will, and then put it in a better spot because it's obviously reaching for light. I don't know if you can see that, but I have a little bit of root on here. Trying to decide whether this is like too yellow to pot up. But honestly, I think I'm gonna just pot everything up. Maybe a few of the cuttings will die, maybe not, and then I'll keep this one piece. And then I just want it nice and full, you know? Sometimes I put my plants in stratum or in water to root them first. This one, I'm actually putting right into soil and praying for the best. But I'm putting it in a very high light spot now, so I think it'll be okay. I've done this before. Sometimes it works out, sometimes I lose a few, and every time it ends up being a beautiful plant, regardless. Honestly, I shouldn't say every time, but a lot of the time. I'm very confident about this method. Some plants I can look at and be like, you're gonna rot and die. But with the Choronier, I think I'll be fine. Plus, I really needed to use the rest of the soil. And I don't know if you noticed, but I kept a little bit of the stratum in there. It's such gold to me that I wish I could mix it into all of my soil. Not for like $30 a bag, I can't. But yeah, there you go. There you have it. Okay, now let's talk kikipaste. I'm gonna be using some today on this beautiful Monstera Peru. It's got like the most amazing textured dark leaves. I would really love to see these leaves size up, but I'm also a little bit concerned about how bald they are on the bottom. Like, as you can see there, it's kind of thin down there, and I'm not really feeling that. So if you're not familiar with kikipaste, it is like a cloning hormone. So it stimulates growth, and wherever you put it, the idea is new growth will come from that point. So right here, like these are all growth points. You can even see right here where a root is starting to kind of go out. These nodes are pretty much dormant. So here's a growth point. I want to open it up a little bit because I want direct access to that growth tissue. And I'm going to apply the kikipaste onto it like such. It's not very pretty. It's not a glamorous process at all. But yeah, you need the kikipaste to get down in there, basically. Otherwise, you just have it kind of sitting on top of a dormant node. And the reason why I'm putting it on the nodes is because that's where new growth naturally happens. So yeah, I just continue that. I just find like a bunch of different growth points and apply the kikipaste. And ideally, you'd want to use like a sharp razor, a sharp, clean razor, and not a kitchen knife. So I've scarred all the places that I could and applied a little bit of the paste. You can see it's like this sticky kind of honey-like texture. And now we just wait. Something else I want to point out about adding kikipaste is you want to make sure that your plant is, it doesn't necessarily have to be mature, but it needs to have a decent root system. You don't want to apply kikipaste to like a propagation, you know? Don't do this on new cuttings, just on established plants. I've noticed that it can take a little while for this to start working, but it definitely has worked in the past numerous times. It's just, like I said, very slow, which is why I don't use this method often. And sometimes the bald spot is just way too severe and I just do a complete chop anyway. But for this, I feel like this is an easy fix with kikipaste, and we'll come back and check on it. Same thing applies to this Philodendron Majestic. I want to add a lot more growth in the middle. So like I'm going to put it in some of these bald areas wherever I can find a growth point. The first one is kind of right here, and these stems aren't very thick at all. So I really do need to be careful about my scarring it. I want to cut through completely. I'll just add some of that there. I like to really blob it on there. Like, I'm sure you don't really need that much, but that's what I do. Another spot right here. And I really need to add more soil to this because it keeps leaning. It's just not, maybe it just needs a bigger pot. Those are the only spots where I could have added it. Actually, no, I see a few more down at the bottom. So you guys kind of get the gist now. Wherever I saw a growth point, I just added some. And now this one's ready to go. This right here is my Chore goat, and it holds a lot of potential if only it wasn't so skimpish, you know? So I really want this one. Out of all the ones that I'm adding kikipaste to, this one was really important to me because, yeah, I really am obsessed with this philodendron. And sometimes I just walk around the house with a razor and some kikipaste, and half the time I don't even remember which ones I did until I start seeing new growth. And I'm like, whoa. Another really good plant to do this with is like a ficus. Like, you know how ficus will drop the leaves? Oh my gosh, this works wonders on a ficus. I kid you not. All right, and we're all done there. I think I only added it to like 2 or 3 points on this one, but I think it's going to be very successful. So recently I discovered that one of my anthuriums had like little berries on it, and it was so exciting. But then I have another one upstairs that has so much pollen on it right now. So I want to collect some of it and save it for a later date. So I'm going to collect it, put it in the freezer, and then when another anthurium blooms, maybe I'll try cross-pollinating. I don't know, but let's go get some pollen. So I don't want to pull this anthurium out because I don't want to risk like losing any of the pollen, but you can see the inflow right here. So I just have an index card and I fold it in half like such. And then I just kind of do you see all that? Like, that is crazy. And then there's still so much left on here. And I just fold this up, label it, and put it in the freezer until I need it. So that is my spring garden update. New pots, new planter, new experiments, and plenty of dirt underneath my nails. Big thanks again to Vego Garden for sending me my EZCube. It's such a cool addition to my setup. If you're interested, don't forget you can save 5% with my discount code Garden of Kland5. And again, I will link it down in the description. Don't forget to ask questions. I try my very best to answer them as quickly as possible, and I will see you guys in the next video. Who is cleaning this up?